Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Rainbow Magician. My name is Mary, and thank you for joining me today. This is going to be a very, very laid back, kind of unplanned, chaotic, possibly, kind of video. I just want to talk, basically. Kind of about some serious stuff, just like, I don't know, thoughts that I've been having lately about the world and like life. So if you're here for that kind of like, deep discussion, then, keep watching. If not, it's probably not the video for you right now. But I don't know, I just wanted to talk to y'all, and I might draw some like oracle cards sometime in the middle of this. We'll see if I feel like it, but yeah, so let's just have a conversation as much as we can. It's this weird one-sided kind of situation we have going on here, but hopefully you are, responding in your head, or having some kind of internal reaction to what I'm saying. And if you want to talk with me in the comments below, I'd appreciate that. But anyway, I don't know, I've just been feeling very like kind of on and off with like depression, and just like feeling very kind of dismal about life, and not even just like my life, but kind of just like the state of the world, and trying to like find some kind of reconciliation for all of the pain and suffering that exists. And it's easy to get overwhelmed by, especially for those of us who are very empathic and can pick up very easily on collective energies. But more than that, I think like it's not always just like, oh, the collective's feeling this way today, like the way I see it, it's kind of like I guess what I'm trying to say is like a lot of people will, they'll say stuff like, oh, if you're an empath, then like you just need to like shield yourself and like release what's not yours and let the rest of the world deal with their shit. You only have to deal with your shit. And I think there's a time and a place for that, but that just never really resonated that much with me, because I'm like, well, if I'm not gonna like feel this, then who is? Like if I'm not gonna feel this and find the that some kind of acceptance or reconciliation with this feeling, then it's just gonna keep wrecking on through everyone else. And if everyone in the world just decided that the collective energy was not theirs to deal with, and everyone just shielded themselves, then where is that energy gonna go? You know what I mean? Like, it's still gonna be there. So to me, it really doesn't like help to make a division between like what's mine and what's yours. Like, I understand for some people, maybe at the beginning or earlier stages of your evolution, it's important to like set boundaries and be like, okay, this is not mine to deal with, but I feel like you get to a certain point and it's just like, well, everything is mine to deal with, because like at some level I am connected, I am a part of this greater thing, I am everything in a certain sense. And I can't ignore things like I used to. And I think that's one of the biggest pains of awakening, honestly. If you have You know, if you're someone who has been exploring, I'm sorry, I still have a really ugly cough, so forgive me, but if you're someone who has been, you know, exploring spirituality, or you've been kind of awakening to your own ego, awakening to a lot of the unconscious, subconscious patterns in your life. When I use the term awakening, this is what I mean. I feel like people nowadays in the spiritual community throw the word awakening around, and I feel like a lot of people think that awakening means, oh, you're into astrology now, or oh, you collect crystals now and you do spells now, or oh, you do yoga now, or you meditate now. And like, that is so not what it is. Like, to me, awakening has nothing to do with like these actual spiritual practices at all. Like, these can definitely be mechanisms for awakening, I guess, but like, someone can literally have no idea about like any of this new age kind of shit. They could be totally Christian, they could be agnostic, or like any kind of religion, and still like have this awakening experience, because to me it's not even about like a defined set of practices or even beliefs. It's more so how I define, you know, spiritual awakening. It's an awakening to the self. It's a reckoning with the self. It's the realization of all that you were wrong about yourself. And it's not pleasant most of the time. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that I really wish that people who are just getting into this would understand. Because maybe when you're first starting this stuff, you're first starting to like positively focus, you're first starting to like do spells or play with crystals, and you're just like kind of into it for the aesthetic, for the fun of it. It's just kind of like a fun thing, you know? I'm doing a tarot reading, so exciting, you know? I understand that. I used to be there. But, you know, these things, these practices, you can practice them as much as you want on your own. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are like actually having that experience of like awakening to yourself, awakening to your ego, awakening from the illusion of who you thought you were. And I use that word illusion also kind of with a caveat, because I also don't like the way that people in the spiritual field use that, because they tend to say that like, oh, everything in this world is an illusion, we're all in the matrix, blah, blah, blah. And like, no, like it's real. This world is real, you are real, but you are also a construction that you have created. And when you realize that, you realize that there's a lot of patterns that you have been engaging in and creating for all of your life that are very painful and very hard to break, and that's something that is not an easy thing to realize. So where was I going with that? Right, so these little things that you can get into. Oh, I'm gonna start getting into tarot readings, you know that those are hobbies, and it's perfectly fun and perfectly fine, perfectly beautiful. Okay, but the hobbies themselves has almost nothing to do with like the experience of what I consider to be awakening. Okay, and I think everyone is on a path of awakening, whether or not they have a big moment of awakening. Everyone is on a journey of self-discovery throughout their lives. That's, you know, why we're here. We're here to discover ourselves, to learn more about ourselves. And so the more we go through life, the more we slowly awaken to parts of ourselves. But when I use the term awakening, I'm talking about the process, like the kind of like sudden and rapid process of like discovering a lot about yourself all at once, and not all of it good, like pleasant to look at, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about with awakening. It's like looking in a mirror and actually realizing what you're seeing for the first time, and not knowing what to make of it because it doesn't look like what you thought it was. It's like realizing that you don't actually know yourself at all. That's what I think awakening is. It's realizing that you think that you know who you are and you actually don't. And it can be very frightening, because then when you're faced with the unknown, you have one of two options. You can either project all of the bad possibilities of what could lie into that unknown, so you project your fear into that unknown, or you project all of the good possibilities and you project only the good and only your hopes into the unknown. And both of those are equally dangerous options to take, right? And so the third option, the most difficult option, is to look at both of those and say, I still don't know the truth, and I'm not going to know the truth until I actually take that step into the unknown. Because you can project your fears and you can project your hopes, and both of those are just protecting you, and neither one is going to actually give you the truth. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're not actually going to learn anything if all you're doing is just hoping that it will be what you want, or fearing that it won't be what you don't want. It's like both of those are lies. Both of those is not giving you any real sense of clarity, is it? You know, what might give you a sense of clarity is kind of owning both of those, owning the fear and owning the hope, and saying that, you know, I have both of these, and the real truth might be something completely different that I haven't even considered yet. And that's kind of the exciting part of it, I think, and kind of that like like exciting and almost a very terrifying way, but still kind of exhilarating, I guess, or it can be if you get into that certain mindset where it's like the unknown is all there is, and is all that there is to do is to start discovering it as much as you can. And I feel like that for me, I'm sorry again, my throat is so dry. That for me, you know, I don't really think of enlightenment as this thing, as this ended state that you reach and then you're done. You know, I think enlightenment is a state that we all reach at different points in our lives, and it's very brief. It's this moment of wonder of, oh, I don't actually know anything. And it's like, and like that is very freeing if you can really like feel that state of like, oh, I don't know anything. I don't know what's going to happen next. And it could be good or it could be bad, and it could be exciting or it could be terrifying, it could be wonderful, it could be awful. It's like that state of unknown, I think, is the highest state of awareness you can actually be in. And it's a really hard thing to stay in, because it kind of requires that you abandon all of your protective mechanisms of the ego, which is designed to keep you safe. So, you know, it's not a state that anyone, I believe, can really hold for a very long period of time unless you're just very, very evolved and very good at it. But, you know, I'm certainly not there. So anyway, what I wanted to say is that for anyone who's just kind of getting into this, just be aware that, well, be aware of the reasons why you're getting into it first. I want to say that. Are you getting into it because you're curious, because you want to explore something bigger than yourself, because you just feel this sense that, like, you want to understand? You know, I feel like those are wonderful reasons to start exploring this. And I don't want to say that there's any right or wrong reasons, but I'm just asking you to be aware of what those reasons are. You know, are you doing this because you think it's kind of interesting or cool, or it might just be something, you know, fun to do? It's still a valid reason, I guess, but it's just like also be aware that there are very real consequences to engaging with a lot of these practices. Like, you might find out things you didn't think you wanted to know. So be aware of that. Are you getting into this because you want a way out of your pain? Because you want something that's gonna kind of numb your experience so that you can just feel this sense of like blissed out peace all the time, instead of like having to engage with the necessary turmoil of life. Again, that's a big reason a lot of people get into spirituality. It's because it's like, oh, I can feel good all the time if I just meditate all the time, or if I just, get rid of my desire, or get rid of all my attachments, cut off all the bad people in my life, all of these things that people say that I think are bullshit, to be frank. If you're looking for that, if you're looking for a permanent escape, for a permanent drug, well, spirituality is a hell of a drug to get into. You definitely will get use out of it. But I don't know that you will actually be getting the freedom that you think you'll be getting, because I think you will eventually find yourself in a place where it's worse than before, because you didn't actually deal with the pain you were feeling. You just bypassed it. And that's something we all do. And I'm not here to shame anyone for that. And I think that we all need to do that at certain points in our life. We need that quick fix. We need that escape route. We need that, temporary relief. And by all means, if you feel like that's the place where you're at now, then do that, Give yourself that comfort if you feel like that is what you can handle right now, and that's all you can handle right now. Right, but there's also, like I said, there comes a point where then the reckoning with the self, the awakening, is going to take you to the realization that all you've been doing is running away from yourself and running away from the truth of how you feel. And then it's not going to work anymore, because once you realize that, and once you really fully, and not just kind of understand that on a conceptual level, but really fully accept that on a personal emotional level, more so than just me telling you this, but you actually receiving it, you know what I mean? Once you actually gain that awareness, it's not really gonna work anymore the way it used to. And then there are the people who get into this kind of self-help side of spirituality because they are just looking to fix themselves. And that was the camp that I was in for a long time. I was just looking to, to heal myself is the phrasing I would have used, right? I just want to be healed. I just, want to be healthy. I want to be, it was never about enlightenment for me. I never was like, oh, I'm trying to reach enlightenment right now. That was never kind of anything I saw as the goal, but it was more so just I want to be healed enough that I feel lovable, essentially. Because it's realizing how lonely you are then kind of leads you to say, okay, what the hell do I do about this? And if that realization kind of led me to understanding a lot of the a lot of the shame that I had about myself, and a lot of things that I wasn't even aware of were like traumas in my life. And then knowing that, like, oh, okay, the reason why I feel these things is because of these traumas. It's because I'm in this unhealed state. It's because I'm broken. Okay, now I have something to do, right? Now I can work on putting myself back together and trying to heal myself and trying to get over it. So this is a big trap a lot of people who get into this fall into. You might have heard it be referred to as the healing trap. This is one of the biggest lessons I've learned in life. Anything that you say you just want to get over, you can bet your bottom dollar that is something you are probably never going to be fully over. And why do I say that? Because if it's something that you just want to get over, that implies that you can't stand the idea of it being a part of you, and that implies resistance, right? And if you even have for as long as you have that resistant thought of, I can't stand this about myself, I can't stand myself, like I can't stand this part of myself, I just want, because when you say you just want to be over it, what you're actually saying is, depending on whatever you're going through, but usually what it boils down to, what you're trying to get over is some part of yourself that you don't like. I mean, we can go through examples of that, but just, think about it on your own. Like, what is it that you feel like you just want to get over, right? Is it like a breakup that you never really got over? Okay, why do you just want to get over it? Is it like, what is underneath that feeling of like, oh, because I'll never be able to love anyone else. Okay, like, why is that so bad? You have to kind of keep questioning yourself and figure out what the root of that is. Maybe the root of that is, I don't actually think anyone else is gonna love me. I feel like I'm some kind of like there's something, or maybe it's like you blame yourself for that relationship ending, and you blame a part of yourself that actually like had a hand in ending the relationship, and you say, I just want to get over it. It's like saying, I just want to get rid of that part of myself. And so that's why I say anything that you just want to get over, it's not going to happen like that, because if you have resistance to anything that you're going through, and of course it's natural that we will find resistance to things, but if you have this like persistent resistance to a specific thing in your life, a specific pattern about yourself, then your desire to get over it is actually what's creating it. Okay? Your desire to get over parts of yourself is what is making those parts seem so bad and so wrong and so messed up. Your desire to fix yourself is what is making you broken. Like, do you understand that? Like, that's really a big thing that I just said. Your desire to fix yourself is what's making you broken. Like, just understand that for a second. Your desire to get over something is what is making you under it. Okay? Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, this is the trap, right? That we get into. And so I want to clarify this though, because desire is not always about resistance, okay? you can tell when a desire comes from a place of resistance, when it is about, I don't want this versus I want this, okay? So if you're saying, I don't want to be broken or I don't want to be unhealed, that is a very different thing than saying, I want to be healed, I want to be in a state of health, I want to feel good about myself. Those are more pure kind of desires, right? Those desires don't come from a place of resistance necessarily. The issue is when they come from a place of resistance, when it's not about what you want, it's about what you don't want. When it's about what you don't want, that's how you can be dead sure that you're actually going to get more of what you don't want, because you're not actually focusing on what you want, you're focusing on what you don't want. And what you focus on is what you're going to get. What you resist is what is going to persist. So that's why I say the desire to be fixed. See, it feels like a resistant desire in nature, right? Like, to me it does anyway. I think the word fixed has that kind of connotation where it comes from a resistant place, right? If you say, I would like to know what it feels like to be, in a state of health, in a state of well-being, right? Awesome. Like, that's a very, like, pure desire, right? And the way that you can know whether or not it's like a pure desire, also, take that word with a grain of salt. I don't really like that term because it implies that there's something like wrong with you if you don't feel that way. But I'm just saying, like, the way you can tell whether something is like a pure desire versus a resistant desire is ask yourself, why do you want that, right? I want to feel in a state of, I want to feel like I'm in a state of health, because I feel like I have experienced the opposite of that, and I would like to know what the opposite of, feeling this pain that I've been in all my life is like. I want to experience that expansion. I want to feel that sense of achievement and like contentment with myself that I was able to make something positive out of my life. So did that sound like a resistant desire or a more pure desire? To me, that sounds like the more pure desire. So compare that to this next one, okay? I want to feel healed because I know that I'm really broken right now, and I know that that is the reason why it's so hard for me to have relationships, and I know that that's the reason why I always get disappointed and I always get my hopes up. It's because I'm just so fragmented, I'm so broken, and I just really want a relationship that lasts, and I know I'm not going to have that until I heal myself. Did you hear that? How that was a resistant desire? That was all full of, like what I was actually wanting, and that was not actually to be healed. It was to be in a stable relationship, to have that sense of security in a relationship, not to be healed. So my desire, my pure desire in that scenario was actually different. Okay. So underneath every resistant desire is an actual true desire, a more pure desire, you could say. It's just that pure desire, that true desire, is something that you think you can't have unless you do XYZ, unless you heal yourself, unless you fix this part of yourself. I can't have what I actually want unless I do this. And that's when it becomes resistant in nature. So for me, it's more about finding out what you actually want. Okay. What do you actually want? Do you actually want to be healed because you want to experience the expansion of what that's like to, feel that sense of like wholeness in yourself, to feel that sense of wonder that, wow, like I really, experienced a lot in my life, and I experienced that contrast between, unhappiness and happiness, and now I feel kind of content in that, And the thing about like that kind of true desire or pure desire is it's typically something that's like, when you don't have a lot of resistance to what you don't want, it's something that's pretty open. It's like, yeah, I want to feel this, but I also know that that I might feel it, and then I might experience more contrast, and I might want something else. It's kind of like an acceptance that like what you want now, after you get it, there's probably going to be more desire after that, you know, like desire is never something that's going to go away either. So that's another thing to understand. I feel like some people also get excuse me, get into this because you're looking for an end, right? It's like, I want to be healed so that I don't have to experience any more desire. I don't have to experience anything else in my life. Like, I'm done, you know? And that, again, it's like, I want to do this so that I don't have to do that, so that I don't have to do that. So it's like, why don't you want to experience more desire in your life? Because I don't want to experience more suffering in my life. And then you just, like, you know, keep going with that. Okay, like, why don't you want that? And it's, you know, you have to like really question everything, and it's very exhausting. I'm aware of that. But you might realize that what you actually want is that you want to feel like the contrast of life is something that you were able to move through without getting stuck in the without getting stuck in any part of it, you know what I mean? Like, you want to experience the like flow of life. You want to experience joy. You want to experience that kind of ease with which you can move about life, you know? If that's what you want, then it's not actually about not experiencing desire. It's about experiencing desire in a way that doesn't trap you or doesn't make you feel like you are never going to be satisfied, you're never going to be happy, all these things that people will kind of say about desire. Anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought there. What was I saying before all of that? Figuring out what you actually want. Figuring out what you actually want so that you can go for it directly, right? And I think it's also about realizing that joy in life is about the movement towards what you want. It's not necessarily about the attainment of said thing, but it's about that forward momentum towards that thing that you want, because the thing that you want, it's not like it's not like it's, okay, think of it this way, like the thing that you want is like a lantern shining in like this dark forest of trees, and what you really want is to feel that light, right? You want to feel that light of what you want. It doesn't matter if you never get to the source of that light, if you never actually get to hold that lantern. The further you walk down that path, the more light you're going to experience. Do you know what I mean? If this, I have a light that's shining on me right now. If what I want is that light represents that thing that I want, and it's like, you know, it's a distance away from me, the further I go towards it, the more of it I'm already experiencing. Because what we want in reality is not things, it's feeling states. We want a certain feeling state. You know, if you say, I want a Tesla, nothing wrong with wanting that, right? But it's not really about that. It's about the feeling state that's gonna give you. What is the feeling state of owning a Tesla gonna give you? Is it gonna give you the feeling of power, of financial freedom, of you know, whatever it is? And there's no wrong reason for wanting that, but It's just realizing that, yeah, that might very well be the only way that you can achieve that feeling state is by getting that Tesla, you know? Maybe there's just a very specific vibe that you will feel once you have gotten that, you know? Um, but that feeling state that you're looking for that exists in that thing that you are going towards, the further you go towards that thing, it's like that feeling state is going to become more accessible to you because it's going to feel more possible to you. And the more that feeling of possibility of like what I want is actually coming towards me, that is a feeling that actually gives you joy, whether or not you ever actually get there. Does that make sense? Maybe. So I say that because we have to accept that desire is not something that's going to go away, even once you get the things you want. Even once you get to that source of that light, then you're going to say, I think I want a different light now. I want to see what a different light feels like. You know, maybe you can think of these lights as like all being different colors, you know, like maybe what I really want is to attain this pink light, okay? So then I start walking towards the pink light, and the more I walk towards it, the more pink I feel, and it feels great, right? And then I finally get there, and I finally get to hold the pink light, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Then I'm like, you know what? I think I want a purple light now. And so now I'm going, and I'm walking towards the purple light, and the more I walk towards the purple light, the more purple I feel, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. And then I get that purple light, and then I'm like, you know what? Now I think I really want a blue light. And then you keep going. You see what I mean? So weird analogy, but I think it kind of works. I don't know, let me know if that made any sense to you, but to me that kind of that's the way I can make the most sense of it. And so what causes pain is when you want a certain light but you're not actually going directly towards it, okay? You're thinking, oh, I'm going to take the long road, right? So the light is here, it's shining on you, and you know it feels good to walk directly in that light, but maybe you have an experience where walking directly in that light, something else happens, and you get kind of like shoved out of the light, and now you're like, fuck that. You know, it's traumatic to be in the light and then be shoved out of the light. So now you're like, actually, I'm not going to walk directly towards the light. I'm going to take this like long road, right? You get it in your head, you get the message, I can't actually go directly towards that light. So I'm going to actually wander in the darkness and try to come at the light from the other side. But then that's just going to cause you more suffering, because what you really want is to feel, like if I want the pink light, I want to feel the pink light, and I can feel the pink light when I'm walking directly towards the pink light. I can't feel the pink light if I'm trying to take the long road to the pink light, you know what I mean? It's like, now I'm just fumbling my way in the darkness, and like, I can't actually see what I want. I don't actually know if I'm going anywhere near it, you know what I mean? So, and if you've been taught that like all desire is bad, then you're literally taught to not go follow any of these lights, and now what, right? Now you're you're just kind of lost, and you don't even know where the fuck to go. So yeah, anyway, very all over the place with what we're talking about today. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just starting to feel very like exhausted with with my own inauthenticity. I'm starting to get very exhausted with my own inauthenticity. And it's really making it hard for me to like live my life. Because I'm realizing more and more how I'm not actually being honest with people about how I feel, or like who I am, like there's not really a lot of it's not easy to describe what it's like to go through your own kind of like personal transformation process, and then like try to explain that to people who have not gone through that, or people who knew you before but didn't even really know you were going through that. And now it's like, how do you explain that you now feel like a different person without just sounding totally like pretentious, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm just a different person now. It's like, okay. But really, it's like really hard sometimes, like if we feel like we can't really, like we don't really have permission to change, because people expect us to stay the same. But then you have to ask yourself, are they really expecting that, or am I expecting that of myself? Am I the one who's not giving me permission? So, and it's just, you know, it's very difficult. I'm feeling lately this sense of like kind of being like the weirdo, or like the odd one out in my life, because I feel like the things I want have shifted considerably, and I don't really know that I want what I thought I was supposed to want, like as far as like graduate college and like get a stable job and just like start living the regular adult life, you know, like that's kind of the stage of my life I'm at, where I'm like, I don't really know what I want to do. And I'm starting to realize that the path that I thought I was meant to follow is not actually what I want to follow anymore. And so now I'm kind of like, you know, it was like I was following a light that wasn't even the light I wanted, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, and now I don't even know what light I actually do want to follow. And I think that that can be very freeing, to kind of have that free exploration, to figure out what it is that you want. If you think of life as this forest that you're wandering around until you find one of these glowing lights that draws you in, and then that's what you walk towards. And it can be a freeing process to kind of explore that. But I don't think it's societally accepted that that's what people need sometimes. It's like everyone wants you to have a plan. Everyone wants you to know what you're doing. Everyone wants you to follow the plan that they set out for you. And it's like, you know, and this is also like why I've been feeling very down about the world lately. Because it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, we don't let anyone actually be themselves. We don't give anyone enough space to even think about what they actually want, let alone help them go for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is so much pressure in society to just be okay, like to just be normal, to just feel good, to function. And it's like, are we not realizing that we're asking people to function in a system that is totally fucked? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, this is where I've been like just angry recently, because like, so just talk a little bit more about my life. I just graduated with a degree in psychology. I'm starting working at this in a mental health related job, not as like a licensed therapist. I don't have that credential. That is something that I'm still considering as an option, but right now I'm just like entry level kind of position. But my point is, you know, obviously I care about mental health. That's something I'm very passionate about, but something I've been kind of realizing more and more is kind of how fucked it is that we are basing our idea of what is healthy on someone who is feeling good in a very sick world. Do you know what I mean? It's like we consider someone sane when they are well adjusted to a totally like fucked up world. Do you know what I mean? It's like there's something wrong with that, I think. Like there's something a little wrong with that, you know? And I understand everyone wants to feel better, and that's what the whole job of the whole field of mental health is designed to help people feel better. But at what point are we you know, gonna stop taking it on this individual level of like, you know, this is what this person needs to do, like, you know, kind of, it's like we're if you're in someone in a helping position and you're looking at someone and you're like, oh, I see why you're feeling wrong. It's because this and this and this and this is what you need to do to feel better. And it's like, you can do those things and that might actually help that person, but it's like, at what point are we going to address the underlying issue here, which is that it's not their fucking fault, okay? It's not their fucking fault that they adapted like this, and the actual culprit is the fucking society they were born into. And at what point are we going to actually do something about that? Do you know what I mean? Like, and I know that every kind of change has to start with a mindset. You know, it sounds corny, but it's true. Every change has to come from the inside, whatever. It has to come from a mindset. So I understand that, you know, I understand that. I guess I'm just frustrated because I don't know how to which mindset is really necessary to embody in order to actually like create some real fucking changes, and not just like, you know, kind of numb people or like give them a sense of like being okay when like really they should like be playing their part in trying to fix this place. Do you know what I mean? Like and I'm not trying to say that like, oh, it's, you know, our duty to suffer because the world is suffering. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, I don't think that the answer to our personal suffering is completely in us as an individual. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think, this is what I'm kind of getting at. I don't think the answer to my suffering is ever going to come separate from me using my own past pain and suffering to help others, okay? I know I'm sounding corny again, but like this is really, I'm really trying to say something here, okay? At a certain point, you can no longer feel well when the world is unwell. And at a certain point, your sense of health becomes completely reliant on your sense of purpose in influencing the wellness of that world. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I don't think I could just, like, you know, I don't think I will ever feel like what I have experienced in terms of my own pain and suffering. Okay. Not to get too personal, I won't go into detail, but you know, I, like many other people in this field who get into spirituality, got into it because I was in a lot of suffering, and I got into more suffering while I was in spirituality because I was using it in very manipulative ways to myself. And so I don't think, hold on, keep losing my train of thought. I don't think I will ever get to a point of feeling like all of that was worth it if I'm not using that to claim my fucking purpose in this world. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if that's not going to help someone else, if that's not going to influence this, you know, the world outside of me, then it's like, it's not worth it, you know. And I think what I'm getting at is that it has to be this healing that we're trying to accomplish has to be a fucking collective process. Okay, like, it's not just about the individual. It's not about fixing that individual. Okay, it's about realizing that, yeah, that individual is the way they are because they were born into this society that made them that way. And then it's about empowering that individual to say, you get to decide what you're going to do with that. Okay, you know, are you just going to live your life pretending like it didn't happen and just trying to find some sense of happiness? Or are you going to fully accept that it happened so that you can do something with it and you can impact other people in a way that actually makes a difference? Because to me, that is like the only way we can ever improve anything, is if we stop focusing on the individual. Oh, I just have to transcend this. I just have to let go of what's not mine because it's not mine to deal with. No, it is yours to deal with. It's fucking yours to deal with, because guess what? You're here. You're part of this. You are part of me. I'm part of you. We're all part of the same fucking thing. And we have to stop playing this game of me against you, of I just have to focus on myself and that's it. It's like, at what point are you going to realize that the self you're trying to focus on doesn't even exist? You are just a speck within this greater fucking being. Do you know what I mean? Like, you are a part of that. So you're trying to focus on yourself. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like, you focusing on yourself, at some point it becomes you focusing on everything else, because that is you. Okay. So, I don't know, like I said, I'm going all over the place, and I know this is a very long video, but I just feel like I had to say something. I had to get this out, because I've been really frustrated. And it frustrates me because this is what I'm seeing in the mental health field, and I see these fucking ads that make me want to drive a screwdriver in my eyeball. And they're the ads that are like, literally, it kills me. It's this ad that I keep seeing that's like, you've been taking mental health medication and you finally are starting to feel like you have a better you're in a better state of mental health, but now you have all of these side effects. Well, that's why we created this other new drug that, and it literally says in this commercial, we don't know exactly how this drug works, but we do know that it might help with some of these side effects. However, here's the side effects of this drug. And then it just lists all these other fucking side effects that's like, might cause fucking like internal bleeding, diarrhea, shock, I don't know, all these fucking might cause, it's like, it's like, okay, we're creating drugs. And they're drugs. Don't get it twisted. They're fucking drugs. They're fucking chemicals. We're creating drugs to help people feel better. Those drugs have come with side effects because guess what? On a greater energetic level, that's a form of repression. That's a form of that's not actually healing, right? That's just a form of resistance of an energy that's still there. And so that energy is going to come out in other ways, and it's going to give that person side effects. Now we're creating a drug to deal with those side effects, and we don't even understand how it works. Like, are you fucking kidding me? This is gonna drive me up a fucking wall. You don't understand. Like, every time I see that commercial, I like want to scream. I want to break my TV. Like, I get so insane. Because I'm like, at what point are we gonna just keep creating drugs for the side effects of those drugs, for the side effects of those drugs, for the side I'm like, at what point does it fucking end? Like, I feel like I'm insane. Like, do you understand? Like, at what point are we going to realize that all we're doing is treating the symptoms of 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 the symptoms, and we're just driving ourselves further into hell? Oh my God. And I say all of that knowing that some people might need to be on medication because it's, you know, it's the best way that they can temporarily deal with the stress they're feeling in their life. I understand that, okay? I'm not here to say that all medication is bad, but you have to understand, it's a temporary fix, it's not a cure. So that's my rage that I've been feeling lately. It's insanity. It's insanity that we're expecting people to be healthy in this fucking world that we've created. And I'm so sorry. Actually, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry for cursing and for being angry in this video, because why the fuck should I be sorry? This is my channel. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. But anyway, it's really easy to feel the sense of futility, right? To feel the sense of like, oh my God, the world is just going to hell in a handbasket. The world is just a fucking mess, right? I mean, I'm kind of exuding some of that energy right now, so I don't blame anyone else for feeling that way. But I'm trying to accept the reality of where the world is, and still find the empowerment to, again, if we're thinking of this desire thing, okay, the empowerment is walking in the direction of your desire. If my desire is for the world to be in a state of health where people can, you know, everyone will always experience contrast in their lives. Everyone will always experience pain, because pain is what we need in order to realize what we don't want so that we know what we do want. Pain is a necessary part of life. Suffering is not a necessary part of life. Suffering is getting stuck in pain. Suffering is that analogy of you can't even walk towards that light that you want. You're like turned away from it, right? That's suffering. Pain is just like realizing that you don't want this one thing and you do want this other thing, you know? It's realizing, oh, this particular flavor of darkness I don't really like, so the antidote to this would be this particular flavor of light. Maybe it's a pink light, okay? So then you're like, okay, I'm gonna walk towards the pink light, and then that causes the expansion, okay? I know, weird analogy. I don't know if it's working anymore, but I'm trying to stay with it. But so in that analogy, me choosing my own happiness is me walking in the direction of feeling like I have some kind of positive impact on the world, walking in the direction of the world in a healthy state, knowing that might not ever happen, especially not in my lifetime, probably not. But if that's the direction that I want to walk in, what actions are actually in alignment with that? And I think that's the thing that's giving me the most clarity right now. Which means that I can't really keep up this shtick of being inauthentic, can I? Because that's not actually walking in the direction of that at all. Because the more that we are inauthentic, the more we're just allowing these cycles to continue. And I know that sometimes you have to be easy with yourself and you have to choose the easiest option, but sometimes you have to choose the harder option, because it's the only option that is actually going to get you back into that path of going towards what you want. So anyway, this is a very long-winded message, but I don't know, I feel good about it. I just needed to get these thoughts out of my head. So I could go on for a long time, but I'm gonna end it here. I think I'll save some of my thoughts for another video. How about that? But thank you for watching. If you stayed this long, I hope you found this inspiring. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think it was comforting, probably, but maybe you found some kind of relief in knowing that someone else maybe feels the same way you do. But anyway, thanks for watching, and please, join me another time. Like and subscribe, all of that shit. Leave a comment down below. Have a conversation with me. I'd love to talk with you. And I'll see you again very soon. Goodbye.